I hope everyone's been enjoying the music so far. We'll be back to it soon, but first, we get a chance to sit down with the man himself, Jim Nelson. Jim, how are you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling great, Evan. Thank you.
Feeling great? You've enjoyed being on the show so far?
Yeah, this has been a great experience. You guys got a great thing going on here, and I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Well, thank you. You've definitely been around. You said you've been playing music for a long time. Is this your first time playing for cameras instead of people?
I've done this a few times before, not with a setup like this, though. This is great, yeah. Usually I'm just, playing for the crowd.
Right. So if I can get you to think all the way back to the beginning of that, how long have you been playing music? How did it start for you?
Started out when I was a college student. I went to UW Stout over in Menominee, and they had open mic things and opportunities for students to get up and play music, and I always used to try to take advantage of that. And then once you do something like that, you kind of get the bug, and then you want to keep doing it. And then I met other people who also liked playing music, and so that led to forming bands, and 40 years later, here I am.
Yeah, makes sense. So you have been playing music since college, but from what I can gather, you didn't start playing music full-time until after you retired. Is that right?
That's true. And to say I play music full-time, that might be a stretch, but I do play a lot more since I retired. About 5.5 years ago, I retired. I used to be an elementary school teacher, and when I retired from that, I had a lot more time to play music and write songs and everything, so it's been great.
Makes sense. That being said, were you active in playing and performing during your teaching career?
Yeah, being a teacher, I had some time in the summer to go out and play some gigs and like that. Usually during the school year, during the winter, it's kind of slow, but summers were usually pretty busy. Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. So you definitely have a passion for music. I could tell that both through, how you're talking now and also how you were playing before. So is that kind of what made you decide to, focus more on music after you retired? Or
yeah,
is that like a long-running plan for you?
It's always been a hobby. It's always been a hobby of mine and something I like to do. And one thing I discovered is that if you want to get better at it, you actually have to practice. And when I was younger and working full-time, and I have 4 kids, so they kept me busy too, didn't have as much time to really work on the craft of music and getting better at it. And so I've had the opportunity in these last few years to actually practice and kind of work at it and try to get better.
Yeah. Have you been writing your own songs this whole time?
Yeah, I've been writing songs for about as long as I've been playing music. Currently, I have, like I said, a lot more time to work at it and to be more deliberate about it and spend some time writing and rewriting. And I have a little home studio in my basement. It's a Mac Mini and a microphone is what it really is, but I like to call it a home studio, and I do some recording of demos and things like that. And yeah, it's something I've been passionate about for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, if all you need for a bedroom is a bed, I feel like all you need for a home studio is a computer and a microphone.
I think you're right.
Yeah. Do you think your songwriting process has kind of changed as you've, progressed in these 40 years?
I think it has changed in that I work at it more. I've heard it described as when you write a song, inspiration hits you. But it used to be I would just sit around and wait for inspiration to hit me, and it happened once in a while. But now I'm like I said, more deliberate about it. I do things, free writing and little writing exercises to try to get in the way of inspiration, so that instead of waiting for it to hit me, I go looking for it.
Oh, yeah, that's a good process for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So you usually, do you usually start with the lyrics first or a melody first?
Almost
and then, work backwards from
always start with the lyrics first.
Okay.
That's the way I've always done it. And then I try to put a melody to them. And a lot of times when I come up with a melody, I have to listen to some other songs to make sure I'm not stealing it from somewhere, because that's typically what it sometimes feels like.
Yeah, especially with like the folk country Americana kind of bubble.
Yeah.
You got a lot of decades of guitar lines to work with.
And I think in all the songs I will be doing tonight, I think maybe 5 or 6 different chords. That's it. So you just got to move them around and hope something original comes out.
Yeah. That is how it goes. So, is there a certain thing that kind of drew you to that same bubble of folk Americana country? Or did you just kind of naturally drift toward it as you started playing?
I think what really drew me to it was the songwriting, the story, the poetry, the honesty that a lot of that genre of music has with it. You know, I was a big growing up, listened to a lot of Bob Dylan and Neil Young and John Prine and Bruce Springsteen. That's kind of that's from my time period, and those are the people I tried to kind of pattern myself after.
I definitely noticed it. If you'll let me wax nostalgic for a second.
Go ahead.
I have family in Pennsylvania, so I've gone on a lot of road trips back and forth between Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, and sometimes those involve driving in the mountains in West Virginia. Deep Appalachia.
Sure.
You barely get a radio signal out there, but when you do, it's usually AM, and it's old country, like Hank Williams, and then Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen, that kind of thing. And I did feel a lot of that in your sets today. Sure. I kind of just had a big goofy smile on my face back there.
Thank you.
It did make me think of West Virginia.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. So you've mentioned that you've played in a lot of bands before. What groups are you currently playing in when you're not playing solo?
Yeah, that too. I play in a band. I played in a band called the Cutaways. We're mostly from Menominee. Probably for about 25 years now. We're a cover band, play weddings and bars and summer festival types of things. I play in another band called About a Boat, and it is way out of my wheelhouse. It's probably a 90s alt-rock band.
Okay.
So think Nirvana, Chili Peppers, Stone Temple Pilots. I play bass for that band.
Wow.
And I had to learn everything because that was not music that I listened to when I was in the 90s.
That is a sharp turn for sure.
I was raising kids and listening to country music on the radio in the car. That's about the extent of my 90s musicalness. So About a Boat, we play a 90s alt rock. And then I also play in a bluegrass band here in Eau Claire called the River City Ramblers.
Okay.
And again, this is kind of the off season. Do a lot more in the summer. So I play guitar. I like to say sloppy guitar for the bluegrass band here in Eau Claire, and then try to do as many solo gigs as I can.
Nice. Yeah. Get all the bases covered.
Yeah.
Eau Claire is an amazing city for live music. I've noticed.
I agree.
Yeah. So obviously you cover a lot of different styles. You know, that's all across the map. 90s alt rock, bluegrass. There's not a lot of overlap between those. But more generally, is there anything you really change about your performance style when you're playing solo versus being in a group? Is there anything kind of innate to the?
One thing that I do much more when I play solo by myself is try to engage the audience. I have a tendency to maybe tell stories about the songs I'm going to sing, or maybe get the audience to sing along. I try to get them kind of involved. It's harder to do when you're just by yourself and you're just standing up there and they're just sitting there staring at you. Kind of want them more involved in the process. When you're playing with a full band and they're dancing and having a good time, it's a lot different. So I do try to talk to the audience a lot more when I'm just playing by myself. That's
fair. Audience engagement is definitely very important.
Yes.
That's why basically every genre has some form of hype man.
Yeah.
Just to get the audience pumped up.
Yes.
It's a lot more, speaking as someone who has performed for audiences, it's a lot more fun to perform to people who are enjoying themselves versus a dead open mic audience.
That's probably 32 years of being a teacher that has taught me that.
Is it a similar feeling teaching to a class of dead-looking students?
Surprisingly, it's all about engagement. Yeah, it's all about getting them on your side.
I guess that made you well acclimated to playing live.
Yeah.
Honestly, it isn't as sharp of a turn going from teaching to live music playing, huh?
No, not at all.
Well, with that said, Do you have any upcoming performances or projects that you'd like to plug for the audience?
The one thing that I have coming up is on January 5th here in Eau Claire at a place called Two Roots down on Barstow. I'll be playing there from 7 to 9, January 5th from 7 to 9. I have several things already on tap for next summer. And I would say, again, Jim Nelson Music on Facebook. You can find out everything you need to know about that.
Where else can people find your music?
People can find my music on Spotify, on iTunes, on YouTube. Any place that you can stream music, you can find some of my music. Most of it, probably all of it, was recorded on my Mac Mini and a microphone in my
home studio.
So it's all homegrown, all songs that I've written throughout the years, and always adding more. So I've got something that I'm working on. Probably early next year should be up. Some of the songs that I'm about to do are going to be on that.
Okay, good to hear.
Yeah.
I'll be sure to check it out.
All right. Thank you.
I think that's about all the time we have for tonight, but thank you for sitting down.
My pleasure.
Talking it over. It's been a lot of fun.
My pleasure.
And for everyone else, no problem. For everyone else at home, don't touch that dial, because it's right back to the music after this.